All right, so I'm going to try to go over the basics of how this the banners, the safety banners, and how we're going to be tracking maintenance requests through those banners, and also how to generate new categories and new machines, and then to generate new banners and all that. So this is kind of that overall training of this system that we're working on, which should allow us to track this stuff much better. So the first thing I'm going to look at and to point everyone in the direction of is this. The fact that this is a workspace now. So whereas our maintenance page used to be on the main B&M Metals page, and if you scroll down, there was a little section that said maintenance. This is where it used to be. Now, this is actually a lot more restrictive than having your own workspace dedicated to maintenance. So we can actually legacy content all of this at a later date. We can move these over and move them to the correct histories and all that. But for now, we'll just leave this up because I think the safety officer will move everything into here. So let's just not mess with this one for now. But so it's important to know this is like a new workspace now. And like I said, you'll notice we have a few workspaces that you either may have access to or not, depending on what part of the company you're working for. But these are a lot less restrictive. They give us a lot more flexibility on how we can edit and manage items. So so make sure you're in the maintenance workspace if this is what you're wanting to look at. So the first thing I'll point to is the main group here. The main group is maintenance requests. So this is where the form, the QR code that the employees or whoever is filling out requesting maintenance on something, this is where the content will go. So it will automatically update all of these categories based on the form questions. So all they'll see obviously is the form. And when they fill this form out and submit it, it's going to automatically add everything as an item on the maintenance request table. So right here where I've created one that just says test, and I'll show why in just a minute. So you'll go to form, and the way, if you want to edit this form, that's fine. You can just hit edit form in the top left, and you can add questions to it. You can move questions around and things like that. Something to be mindful for is the Monday.com AI is going to attempt to make this main table match the form from left to right, top to bottom. The issue is it's not always perfect, so we really need to just make sure that we pay attention to, if you add, let's say you add a question and it's the second question, it may put it over here next to status, so you'll just have to come in and manually click and drag and reorder things. But the idea is that the maintenance form is as close to the maintenance request item as possible. And like I said, it should try to do that automatically, but it's a little finicky sometimes. So just be mindful of that if you add a question or if you edit a question. Also, another thing is if you do edit a question or add a question, it can take a while to upload. So usually refreshing the screen will actually bring in your new question. Or at the worst case, you have to wait about an hour or so, especially if it's being added from the form area. Adding it from here is obviously automatic, but then it wouldn't show up in the form after a while. So just be mindful that your changes may not be reflected immediately. So let's look at what a maintenance request looks like. So obviously, once they fill out the form and it goes automatically to this area right here, the next thing you would need to do is obviously edit the form. And so when this form is edited, it will move it, once it is changed to done, for example, it should move it automatically into the service history for the machine that's been specified. So one thing to notice is that this has changed again back to a drop-down menu. The reason we have to do this is because you can't use automated management on typed content. It can only be used on a preset content like this. So for example, let's say I wanted to automatically move this item into the MPA 300 maintenance history. I can only do that if this is a hard-coded word. So all we have to do in order to add new machines for anyone is to go in here and go to edit labels and just add all of the machines that we want to be represented here. For example, let's see on maintenance, there was a couple that I can look for the forklifts. That's Komatsu. Oh, we already did this. So Komatsu and Clark are now here, and you can edit these as well if you want to go into edit labels, and maybe you want to put forklift, for example. To be more specific, we can do that. If not, these are fine. So we just have to make sure that these are all added. If someone accesses the form and that machine is not added, they would just have to ask someone who has access to this, which is typically like the managers, supervisors, to the actual maintenance request page, to just go in and add that to the drop down menu by hitting edit labels and then new label, and then just add that machine. And then once they access the form after that, the machine will be on there. So anyway, that's just something we'll just have to populate this over time. So now I'll show you the way to set up an automation. And really quick, this area down here is just fine. If you want to add a new group, this is just for organizational purposes, for example. So if this says forklifts for North Georgia Metal, that's great. Or for example, you might create one down here that's called roll formers. And then that would be a way to keep all the roll formers in the same category. None of that's all going to be fine. It's not going to affect the way that this page works. So anything that makes it easier for people to organize different tasks, you can create those below here. So, but the automation tool, I'm going to show you how to set up a new automation and a new category. So for example, let's say right here we have MPA 300 maintenance history. Well, once this category, this status is changed to done by the maintenance person, it should put this item into that maintenance history. Now, it may take a little while. It may be maybe a bit of a delay, but it will move that into the maintenance history. And I'm going to show you how we do that. So let's say we wanted to create a maintenance history for the let's see, what was the second one? The Komatsu 30. Okay, so we want to create a maintenance history for Komatsu 30. So all we do is over here on the left, we just hit add. And let's see, we're going to do this. It's a new board. So these are called boards. New board. We'll call this the Komatsu 30. And actually, wait, I think I can let's duplicate instead. So watch this. Here, we'll go right click this, or right click and duplicate the board, because that way all of the categories from the MPA 300 maintenance history that we've already created will come over for this one, so that'll make it much easier. We want to bring over structure only. You don't want to bring over all that maintenance history from the MPA 300 to the Komatsu. And we'll just call this Komatsu 30. And then I'll put maintenance history. And we can come up with a, some kind of abbreviation for this or something, but for now, this is fine. So there it is. We're going to duplicate, and it should give us a new board. Okay, Komatsu 30 maintenance history. So now we have this history made. So the only thing we need to do is create an automation in order to pull everything with this category, the Komatsu 300 for this cell, which is the what machine, and a status check of done, and then we'll move it into the Komatsu 30 maintenance history. So I'll show you how to do that really quick. It's actually not super complicated. So we'll go to automate. So this is where we create all of our automated stuff. So I'm going to create automate. All right. And then this board has 0 automations. There we go, because that no longer, so that's why that didn't work. But we can turn this on now, and we can fix it. So here we go. I'm going to add a new automation. So when this happens, what we want to happen is, so when the status is changed to something, okay? So when our status is changed to done, okay? So we want to go in here and we're going to change this status to status, because that's what it's called in our program. It could be called anything. And when that status is changed to done, because that's one of our categories that we've made, okay? Then we want to add a piece, because we want to know when the status is changed to done, and we want to know that when the status is something. So when a certain status is equal to something, and that status for this one is the what machine item is being worked on. Okay, and then we want to change when that is equal to the Komatsu 30. Okay, so now when the status is changed to done, and only if the machine type is the Komatsu 30. Then we want to do this, and we want to move this item, okay, to, hold on, I'm sorry, not move to group. Let's see, let's get the other one. All right, so we have to find, where is it? We want to move the item. I have to find where it is. Hold on one second. All right, so we move item, but we want to move item to the maintenance request history, which I know we can do. So hold on, I did it on the last one. So just let me find it. All right, I know it is here somewhere. Oh wait, move item to board. There we go. Oh yeah, so sorry about that. It's not a group, it's a board. Okay, but that is something important to look at. If you wanted to move it to another group, for example, so like that, what below the forklifts, NGM, or roll formers or something like that, that's where this is how you could do this. But instead, we're going to move the item, okay, the actual item to the board that is called Komatsu maintenance history. You'll just have to look down through here. And the good news is the more you use these, the more they'll start putting them up to the top. There you go. So the more used items, the more they'll come up to the top. So we want to move the whole thing. So we don't really have to choose which columns. We want to move all of it. So let's see. There we go. All right. So we're going to move the entire thing to the Komatsu 30 maintenance, and then we'll create automation. All right, so we're going to test this live, and hopefully it works this time. And you'll see I've set it the same one for MPA 300. Okay, so let's look at that one. When the status changes to done, and only if the machine is the MPA 300, then we want to move the item to the MPA 300 light gauge roll former maintenance history. Okay, so that automation should be fine. And it failed back then whenever we were recording, so let's see if it runs now. All right, so let's add another one. So we're going to call this tests, and then let's say that they did the Komatsu 30. And it went through all the different processes. So it went through working on, the maintenance person made it working on. They then changed it to parts ordered. And I'm going to edit these labels because you always want done to be your last, obviously, because, we don't want them to have to go back and forth. So let's change this to this, and then let's change this to done. And hopefully, because it's the Komatsu 30, it should put it directly into the maintenance history, which I hope. So let's see. There it goes. All right, so this has automatically been moved to the Komatsu maintenance history. And the good thing about that is that means that we now have a record of the maintenance history for the Komatsu, but we don't have to have it be public. This can be locked, and typically these histories are only going to be accessible by safety officers. So anyway, let's go to Komatsu, and there it is. There's our exact item. Okay, and so like I said, the only thing we added was a test. But if all of your columns, all of your categories will come over with it, and we won't lose any kind of history or anything like that. So anyway, that's something that's how this will work. So that's how you set up a new automation. The steps will be the same every single time. And like I said, I can add all these manually. It's pretty easy to do. So that's something we can kind of talk about. But that's how they work. That's how the page works. So the next step is obviously looking at the banner for these. And let me show you how that looks. Now, I have one in Publisher right now. So if you have Microsoft Publisher, the template, I'll show you where the template is and how to edit it. And then we're also creating one in Canva right now, just in case anyone else uses Canva. If you would like a template made in any kind of software, just let me know. If that's not something you want to create, then let me know, and I can create one in Photoshop. I can create one in ProCAD, AutoCAD, any kind of software that is easy for you to edit. So let me show you where this is. So if you go to our company Dropbox account, and you go to Documents, Safety and Compliance, Machine Labels. Okay, so we can change this later, but right now this is where it is, machine labels. Now, inside here, you'll see the name of the machine that we've created the label for, and then the QR codes that we've generated, okay, which I'll probably just, so this is general QR codes, meaning like the maintenance request, for example, is just one QR, so it's general to all machines. But if you want the specific ones made for the MPA 300, you can look inside the specific folder. Here's all the raw data files inside the MPA 300 IFUs and safety, and then the combined files are here. So combined PNGs, that's the links to the master forms that are on Google Drive, I believe, but they're in a cloud, so they'll always be in a cloud, and these will link to it. So there's your QRs for those. If you want to look at a specific, so if you want to look first of all at the template, that'll be in the main page here, masterqrtemplate.pub, and like I said, there'll also be a Canva one as well. And so that's what is down here, which I'll show you in a second. And then if you want to look at the one specific to a machine, just go inside. And you can see all the different variations we've done. Obviously, A, B, C, D. You'll always want to use the most recent one. So this is kind of like your document history. You'll always want to use the most recent or the latest one. So D would be the one that we would be actively using on the machine right now. And so if you want to look at this, In Publisher, you can open up the .pub document, and this is editable. So this is what it looks like right now. This is so you can print 2 of them. I mean, obviously, if you wanted to make a portrait version of this and make 4 of them that are smaller, that's fine. Or if you wanted to generate a PNG to send to a company to get a big one made, that's fine. But this is currently what they what they look like. All we're asking is that we stick to the same, we can edit these if one machine says needs 2 of these or 3 or 4. We can edit the layout and the quantity. We're just going to try to stick to this very simple design convention, which is a thicker, bolder exterior yellow line, and then the that's a little too big. Let me see. There we go. And then the thinner partition lines, and then obviously this is a main title, and then a description of that title or whatever that QR code is. For most machines, we're gonna stick to this format: a maintenance request QR, which is what links to the obviously that form, so that you can create a maintenance request and ask someone to work on a machine. Maintenance completed will mostly be used by the by someone performing the maintenance, obviously. So the maintenance person, or for example, cleaning and things like that, you would have the employee scanning and filling out a separate form for this, and it's a separate form. It's very simple. It just basically asks the same questions, and it, tells them that it's complete. The IFU manual. So this is like your basic operational procedures for that machine, and then your safety and lockout tagout procedures. So these are the 4 main ones that will be on. There may be others for, say, forklifts or something like that, but for now, these are the main 4 that should be on every machine. Maintenance requests will be the same for every machine. Maintenance completed will be unique, because this will only go to the and I'll show you this form as well in just a second, so I'm sorry I'm jumping around a little bit, but this is kind of off the cuff. Your maintenance complete will be unique to each machine, as will your IFU and your safety lockout tagout. So let me go and show you real quick what this maintenance completed area looks like and how to edit those. And these are as equally simple. So we saw with the MPA 300 maintenance history, you'll also see a form tag. Okay, this is not the maintenance request form. This is the maintenance service completed form for the MPA 300. Okay, so this is a form to where you could directly put a value or a item into the MP 300 maintenance history. So you can actually do that automatically by using this form. So basically, there's 2 ways. You can update the item here, and that will send it to the history, or an employee can fill out this form from the QR code and send an item directly to the MPA 300 maintenance history. So we'll have an entire history no matter how it's processed. And so let me show you how to generate one of these. And like I said, this is almost identical to the maintenance request. The questions are just a little bit different. So if we go to Komatsu 30 maintenance, there should be a form already, and there is. So all we have to do is edit this form and change the name to Komatsu 30, right? Komatsu 30. There we go. And that's it. So that will now update that one to match. So this is MP300 still. We'll refresh it, and it should say Komatsu. And so that one is now the one for Komatsu. So if you want to generate your QR, again, all you have to do is go over here and click this down arrow, get QR code. So when you're putting together a banner, and that's the last thing we'll look at, is basically creating a banner for the Komatsu 30. So that would be the next step. We want to create a banner. We would just use the template, and so I can open up the template version. I'll show you, and I can actually edit that right now while we're here. So here's the the template for the .pub version, but again, we'll have one probably for PowerPoint, maybe one for Microsoft Word, and definitely one for Canva. So anything that you're comfortable using, and you'll see it's pretty much the same thing, except it's just blank QRs. So what you would do is, if you were going to create the Komatsu one, for example, I will go to Generate QR, copy image, and I'm going to put this one into my maintenance completed, because that's the one we're using right here. Control V to, of course, there we go. I'm going to have to get around this real quick. This is a bug on my computer, but watch me. I'll get around this real quick. Snip and clip. I'm going to grab this QR, and you shouldn't have to do this. You should be able to just copy and paste, but all right. And then I'm going to copy and paste this into my template. put it inside here, and it doesn't have to fit perfectly or anything. It's just, you know, however you want to do it. I've got a little extra data on here, so let me see if I can figure out how to do this. There we go. Let's crop that down. There we go. And then we'll pull this into the frame. And like I said, remember, QR codes will work no matter if they're resized, scaled. It doesn't really matter how they fit. So that would be, so now that we know this is specifically for the Komatsu, and I could even put, let me go grab the, just to show this again, let's go grab the, there we go. Let's go grab the maintenance request one again. So we'll go to maintenance requests, go to form, over here, grab the QR. All right, and let's grab a little picture of this one. And like I said, you should be able to just copy and paste, but for some reason, my computer is acting up. All right, so there's our QR. So let's go to the template, pop it in here, and there we go. Now we got the maintenance request QR as well. All right. So the only one that you need to add for the Komatsu would be the IFU manual and the safety lockout tagout procedures. But like I said, those have to be combined on my end and then added to our Google Drive account. So I'll provide QRs for these once they're requested by someone. Just send an email to me and say I need an IFU QR code, and I'll generate it from our Drive account. So all right, so I'll save this file. I'm going to save this as, and I will save this as, let's see, let's go to machine labels, safety compliance machine labels, and let's create a new folder. Okay, for the Komatsu 30. Okay, so there we go. Komatsu 30, and we might want to add NGM or something. We may even split these up into a North Georgia Metals and a B&M file. That's fine. And then let's save it here, and instead of QR table, we'll put Komatsu 30 here. And like I said, I try to stick to kind of typical naming conventions, try to make them match what the others are, just so it's easy for everybody to understand. And there we go. So now we have a .pub file, so we can come back in here and edit. And then obviously different software allows different ways to turn these into PDFs or PNGs or whatever you need. Publisher obviously is just file, save as, and just save it as a PDF. But you know, other programs have other ways of doing it. So anyway, that's how you basically work with this system. And like I said, I know there's a lot of different steps. There's a lot of different moving areas of this. And I also jumped around a little. So any specific questions about, like I said, how to create any one of these individual components, just shoot me an email. And then right now, all we really need to be focused on is the most important thing is obviously updating this list, which is the machine list, because you can only use the maintenance requests currently for machines that are added to this drop-down list. So we need to populate this pretty quickly. And then the next step will be obviously creating all of these groups and then creating banners and templates for each of those. So like I said, shoot me an email if you have any questions, or if there's anything, like I said, if any of these that are easier for me to populate or create, just let me know. This is not, I've kind of got a little system put together, but if you have any questions, let me know, and hopefully this will help us to manage these histories a lot easier.